Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, 3M, and by Die Hard. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
And that's our announcer, Alec Webb. Hello, everybody. I am John Davis. Welcome to MotorWeek podcast number 92. And we are in Studio C today, and around our table is producer, writer, and two-wheeling reporter Brian Robinson.
Thrilled to be here today, John.
And checking in is our road test producer, Ben Davis.
Yes, sir.
And also our writer and our podcast producer, Patrick Lucas.
Excited to be here in Studio C.
I can tell by your enthusiasm at the microphone there just how excited you really are.
Yeah.
And let's pump this up a little
sarcasm.
bit. We also have Nico Watkins over there. She's our lady with the bell
There's
for the
enthusiasm.
lightning round, and she's keeping the clock on us all to make sure that we stay within our time frame. And let's start off with a vehicle that seems to be almost timeless in its appeal, and that is the redo of the Honda Odyssey minivan. Since Honda redid the Odyssey a few years ago, it's been the one to buy for a lot of suburban families. They've now done a mid-cycle freshening, added a few gimmicks to it. What do we all think of the new Odyssey? Is it still the minivan to get?
Well, yeah, because a lot of people have gotten out of the game, so your choices are pretty narrow these days, but it's definitely the best one in the market as far as overall quality. Minivans are super practical. I mean, compared to crossovers, there's just so much room in there, and you can haul people, and the Odyssey's decent to drive. The only problem I have is it's like this with all minivans. You get like no respect on the road. Yeah. People just assume you're a soccer mom tweeting and texting in your car while you're driving, and they just pull out in front of you like so much. It's amazing.
They figure you're going slow.
Yeah. You just have to have a lethal personalized vanity tag like Violator or Lethal or something. Vader.
But I guess the new thing about the Odyssey was the onboard vacuum, which I don't know.
Is it more than a gimmick? It's an onboard.
Yeah, I mean,
it's made by what? Wet dry?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if you can't absolutely wait to get back home to your garage and vacuum something up, it's great to have. But you have to buy like the ultimate touring elite to even get it, which is over $40,000. And no matter how nice it is, I'm not spending $40,000 on a minivan.
It's funny you say that, but let's face it, there are people that absolutely cannot wait to get that spill or accident vacuumed up. And
just because they want to use the feature
mentally knowing that they can't get to it.
Pull over the side of the road.
Patrick, you are the youngest member at this table today. How does your generation look at minivans?
I can't speak for my generation, but me personally,
Yeah,
I have
absolutely
zero interest in a minivan. I do know this. Honda.
You're not married yet, so no family.
Well, even still, I'm not going to go minivan. I get like a nice Pathfinder or something. That's about as minivan as I'd go.
Being 40, speaking for my generation, I wonder if you could hook a Flowbee up to the vacuum cleaner and give yourself a haircut. Remember the Flowbee?
No, I know.
It's a vacuum attached to
mobile hair
trimmer.
Well, I don't have to worry about that. That's for sure. You had something else you wanted to add, Patrick, before we shut you down?
Before we went on this trip down memory lane. So Honda does a great interior, so you got that going for you.
I'm surprised that Honda, and for that matter, Toyota with the Sienna, that no one's been able to come up with something comparable to the stow-and-go seats that Chrysler vans have, because Chrysler's the only vans, and Dodge, that you can fold the second row into the floor. And I like minivans because I have big dogs and it's easy to carry them in it. But, it's amazing to me that nobody's ever been able to find something they could get around the patents or another way of doing it.
Even more amazing is, even with the stow and go, I didn't, really stow them that much, but just when the seats are up, that's a huge storage area underneath.
Yeah.
Why can no one else do that? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, how hard is it?
And I guess there will be a new Chrysler van next year, so it won't be too long before we'll be back here seeing how it compares to the Odyssey.
That sounds like a comparison I would love to write.
I think you probably will be. All right, let's move on to our next vehicle that we've had in recently. This one should get some interesting comments. Range Rover Sport, an $88,000 premium SUV. Besides the fact that it looks a lot like a Ford Explorer, comments?
You can, if you want to compare it to a Ford Explorer.
I didn't say I was going to compare, but it sure looks like one.
They just fire it up and step on the accelerator.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll notice
Big
right away
difference.
that it's not a Ford Explorer. I mean, that thing, I'm a huge fan of that. You want to talk about something that I'd get? Honda Odyssey, no. Range Rover Sport, yes.
Supercharged V8s right up your alley.
Yeah,
huh?
that appeals to my generation. A super well done interior, very comfortable, sporty. It's like everything you could ever want, really.
I didn't really get a chance to spend a whole lot of time at it. I think the big deal is, it kind of follows the regular Range Rover.
All aluminum.
Yeah, it's like 700 pounds lighter, or 500 pounds, something like that. It drives like a whole different vehicle.
It really does make a big difference. in how
Yeah,
it feels.
it's still capable off-road, like every other Land Rover. They just made it a lot more pleasant to drive on the street.
Always over the top. Not a whole lot you can say other than that.
You know what impressed me is that Range Rovers have always felt agile. That's part of their character. This one, though, with its super duper active suspension and active roll bar system and all that, it was so stable. It had, I think, the absolute best ride of any SUV I've ever driven. It was not soft, but you didn't feel a lot of irregularities in the road. And you go around a corner at speed, and it stays almost perfectly flat. And yet, what minor off pavement I did, there was no jostling, no rocking back and forth, no twitching of the wheel. It was really impressive.
I think it had a better ride than the Mercedes GL.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I really do. I think it had a more composed ride, one that I felt made you feel more confident behind the wheel. The ride just knocked me off. I thought it was terrific. A crossover or utility or whatever you want to call it, wagon, Kia Soul has been redone and has come our way. And while it's new from the ground up, it looks a lot like the old one. Folks, do you think it lost anything or gained anything in this transformation into a second generation?
It obviously gained a lot. The interior has been vastly upgraded. I'm not sure if they did any kind of past I'm sure they did actually some consumer research to see who was buying the car, but it's almost as if they upgraded the interior to appeal to an older buying audience.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I hated it. I
one?
loved the old one because I thought it was quirky and young and new and different.
No doubt.
And this one feels like
More mainstream.
It's much, much more mainstream.
I'd say a step above mainstream, actually.
Oh,
maybe
it's
a little
nice.
luxury
Yeah,
mainstream.
it's pretty nice.
It's very
I liked it.
nice, but I thought it lost. I mean, if you got in it, it's like, I don't know. See, I'm not that age group. Patrick, you speak to it. Did you, when
And
you
your
got
generation
in it,
as a whole.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. As you're representing here, how many millions? When you got in it, did you feel that the quirkiness, in the first place, was that attractive in the old one, and is it gone now or missing, or how do you feel about it?
I know that when I got in, the quirkiness outside didn't match inside. Outside is still pretty funky looking. You figure, all right, this is a strange looking car. You get inside, very comfortable, very functionally laid out. It still looks pretty hip and cool and new, and they've got nice screens and all that stuff. But it just felt like a nice Kia.
So the inside didn't necessarily match the outside, but you don't sound like you were disappointed.
No, not at all. I thought it was very nice. I took it home a couple nights, and I had a great time with it.
I guess. Go ahead.
I like the way it looks on the outside a lot better than the old generation. It kind of has what I can remember seeing as a kid, and I'm going to try to dub a term for it here. You heard it here first.
Uh-oh.
70s era disco-influenced sci-fi drawings. Because it looks like, from the back end especially, what you'd expect to see on a 70s lunchbox of like a generic outer space lunchbox of a spaceship. It's kind of got that 70s sci-fi feel to it. That's strange. All right, I'll take that back.
No, I think that's a good way to look at it. It does look like it's a vehicle that has been upgraded. We've all said that. I guess to me, I love the old one because it was so unique and it sort of thought outside the box and tried to be something that nobody else was, and this one's a little more mainstream. So if I had the old one, I think I'd be a little disappointed, But if I was new in the market, I wouldn't know any better. I probably think it's still pretty cool.
the most unique looking Kia.
Yeah, they're selling a ton of them. And I give them credit because it's similar. It's like the PT Cruiser syndrome where they put that thing. Chrysler put that thing out. This is going to be our vehicle for younger buyers, and no one under the age of 40 was buying that car. It was all older people because it looked cool. And it was hip, and similar thing happened with the Soul. They're going after the younger buyer. Sure,
how about Scion as a whole?
Yeah, a lot of people, younger people, are buying them. But then, people my age think of that as an extremely practical, fuel-efficient vehicle. I like that, but I wish the interior was a little more luxurious. Well, now
guess what? Now it is. Yeah. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, let's move on now to our lightning round, where our panelists have 2 minutes to debate trending automotive topics. And when the time is up, Nika's there, the lady with the bell, and she's going to ring it once, twice, or 3 times until we hush. So here we go.
3 times.
Let's have a little fun. We recently came across a survey that polled people on who they thought to be the most annoying drivers. Now, the 2 top responses were my spouse and a friend. And the most annoying behavior was found to be following others too closely. I'll agree with that. Without ruining any of our personal relationships, we all have to go home today. Who do you or what type of driver do you find most annoying?
Let's go around the
table. Boy, Brian, you just can't wait, can you?
I just was going to say, I can't believe that many people found your spouse that annoying. Because I know her and she's not annoying at all.
I know, but you always comment that he's not joking here. When he follows my spouse down the road, he says he knows it's her. He knows it's her because she never goes a mile over the speed limit. But go ahead.
No,
she's a law-abiding citizen. Thank you.
I didn't really have an answer.
No, you're up. Who's the most? Who do you find is the most annoying?
Just the usual texters while they're driving, and that's certainly a safety issue that gets on my nerves. But one that's not a safety issue in any way is people that drive around with their fog lights on during the day.
Oh my!
I don't know why that's so annoying to me.
It is me too.
It affects me in no way, but to me it just looks annoying
when it's perfectly clear outside.
Yeah.
And heads up, people, when you're driving with your driving lights on, and there's not bad weather, and you're on the highway, all you're doing is putting those lights in the side mirror of somebody else you're driving alongside of, and it's horrible. It's very dangerous.
I wish they had an automatic default to off every time you turn the ignition off, but they don't.
It's a very passionate discussion about fog lights.
Lay it on us,
well, because we're not going to insult our spouses.
That wasn't my turn. I still have stuff to say.
All right, go.
So, no, I just didn't want you to count that as my turn.
We're going to get the bell soon, so hush.
Yeah. All right, I would just say I'm a little bit of a control freak, so I like driving myself, and I don't like being a passenger regardless of who the driver is. Yeah.
Ben.
Generally speaking, I have to agree with the cell phones and the fog lights. But personally speaking, and this is a unique situation because I work with MotorWeek, every time I get in a car with a friend of mine and he's driving, they have to impress me with how awesome of a driver they are. And it scares me to death. Just drive casually, please.
I actually get most annoyed not by the driver, but by the passenger who's got their feet either out the passenger side front window or up on the dash where the airbag is, which will cripple them if they go into an accident and it goes off. So, but very good, everyone. You didn't say a friend you did say a friend, but you didn't say your spouse.
They deserve it.
So we can all go home tonight. Thanks, Nika. Okay, we have a question for the table, and this is not a lightning round, so we won't have to drone on it. But let's talk about a common question many of us get this time of year. What can I do to prep my vehicle for winter travel, and what sort of safety precautions should I take to avoid a major issue during inclement weather? And has this changed over the past years as cars have changed? Comments?
I don't think it's really changed over the years. Definitely not.
I disagree with it. It's not the 70s anymore. Your car's...
Well, you don't need chains anymore. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, the chance of you breaking down and needing a blanket or something in the car like that, come on, really?
Well, certainly that helps.
Everyone's got a cell phone.
Besides the obvious tires and keep a blanket an emergency blanket in your glove box or something.
Don't go out in a blizzard, number one.
And here's the deal, guys. And everybody's
lay down some knowledge.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Shoot.
Washer fluid, guys. Don't be cheap either. Put in some kind of, I'm not going to drop any brand names, but some kind of washer fluid that repels rain.
And has an antifreeze element
Absolutely.
to it.
Yeah, don't water it
How
down.
dangerous is it to? I mean, I've jumped in people's cars where they don't have any washer fluid, and there's about a 1/4 inch of salt on the windshield. How can you see through that at nighttime, especially? And don't
Scrape
think
your windshield before you leave too. It's sidebar.
and don't think it's
your
just on
back
your
glass.
just because your windshield's clean, guys, doesn't mean your headlights and taillights are clean. I can't believe I've seen salt build up so thick it's hard to believe any kind of light can travel through it. If I can't see you,
Wow.
it's dangerous. If
Benny,
I can't see your
Benny, the
taillights,
safe driver. I'm
So
impressed.
that's all changed now that he's got babies.
Patrick.
touche.
Well, considering that I just got back from Iceland, tires would be my biggest thing. Don't drive into huge snow drifts either.
And even if your tires
that a
have
personal
got
trait?
half their original tread, you have lost so much braking and handling and traction capability. So when you get towards winter, if you're
Good
down
set
to
of
less
tires.
than half of your normal tread, and a tire dealer can measure it for you if you don't have a gauge, you should change your tires before winter.
If you got the money, if not,
you got
buy
the
some
money.
high dollar washer fluid.
Yep. And that
pray for
brings
the
to a
best.
close on a
Keep your
chilly
fog
note
lights off and
our
clean.
Motor Week podcast number 92. I want to thank everyone around the table, our producer, writer, and two-wheeling reporter, Brian Robinson. You can say you're welcome, John.
Raisins.
Our road test producer, Ben Davis.
Thanks.
And our writer, Patrick Lucas.
Thanks.
And
You're
who
welcome.
also produced today's podcast, Nika Watkins, who is the lady with the bell. And our audio engineer, thank you, Nico, Jim Bigwood, for making us all sound and come through loud and clear, and for our podcast creator, Bob Mixter. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope you'll be watching Motor Week on your local public television station and also on Velocity. And we also want to thank all of our generous underwriters. Till next time, I'm John Davis. For all of us at Motor Week, please drive safely out there.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, 3M, and by Die Hard. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at MotorWeek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.